Learning how to implement a correct database within your AI coded app is going to be by far one of the most crucial steps in the success of your application. Whether you are using Lovable, Bolt, or Cursor, or whatever AI coding platform you desire, you need to learn how to build a database. Because if you do not know how to do this, then one, users are not able to sign up and authenticate and log in. And data that a user maybe adds to your platform is not correctly saved. So the moment they refresh the page, the information is gone. So we need a way that data can be put into the app, stored, and then when users come back and they refresh the page, the data and the information is still there, right? Pretty simple. We are not going to get into any kind of extreme, complicated parts of a database. We're going to go over the bare bones things that you need to understand and the main skills that you need to learn so that you can build upon them in the future. And as new things come up while you're building your app where you need to figure out how to do something, it's going to be much easier to do if you watch this video all the way through and learn all these key components. I'm going to go through this little checklist here that I built in Notion, and this is kind of my exact workflow that I go through to build my apps and to build my database. The first thing we need to do is connect Supabase with Lovable. So we'll create a new project in Supabase and then we'll connect that with Lovable. And then we're going to implement user authentication so that people can sign up and log in. And then we're going to go into database design. We need to figure out what tables we need and how do we store that data efficiently. And then we're going to go ahead and implement the database, add vehicles, add images, save the changes, and connect the data with the customer side view. If you watched the previous video on how I build my MVP projects, then you would know we have currently built an MVP version of Car Zenith here, which is basically a car dealership inventory website. And what we need to do first is go ahead and create a Supabase project, and then we will connect that inside of Lovable. And then of course, we need to actually store inventory inside of the database. You can see that we have these vehicles here, but these are not actual live vehicles. These are just hard coded into the app. This isn't actually fetching data, which we needed to do. First thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to go over to Supabase. If you don't have an account yet, just go to supabase.com. It's completely free. You can make a new account. Once you made your account, I'm going to just go ahead and make a new project. I'm going to name this project Car Zenith, and we're going to go ahead and make a password. Let's put that in there. Boom. All right, cool. So additional costs are $10 a month, which honestly is super cheap. This game is pay to play. There is compute costs and other things involved for you to be able to host your projects. It's really not much. We'll go ahead and create a new project. I understand. Once you create your new project, you'll see it says up here in the top left, setting up your project. We're gonna give this a couple seconds and then we should be able to go and actually connect it up. But this needs to finish before we can connect the project in Lovable. All right, and it looks like we're done here. We can now see that it is in main production, which means our project is fully connected and we're good to go. Actually, this has gotten a lot faster, honestly. Good job, Supabase. That used to take probably 5 or 10 minutes. That now just literally took 30 seconds. So good job, Supabase. So what we're gonna do is go up here into the top right and you'll see this Supabase icon right here. I'm gonna go ahead and click on that and then click on Connect Supabase. Boom, boom. It should open up our project. And we can see project not connected. We need to connect a project. We're gonna go into the organization right here and we're gonna select the new project that we just created, which is this, Car Zenith. So we'll go ahead and connect that and give that just a second to make sure everything syncs and we're all good to go. There we go, okay. And we are connected. Lovable will then give you some little prompt here. Let's check if we have some kind of login screen. Okay, so dealer login, we do have a login screen right here. If your app doesn't have a screen, then you need to tell it to go ahead and build some kind of login and sign in screen. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna ask Lovable to do right now is I'm gonna tell it, let's begin by implementing user sign up and login and connect this with the auth users in the database. Auth users means this. If we go to the Supabase and we go over here onto the left side panel and we go down to authentication, you'll be able to see all of your users. In this panel here is where you can see all of the accounts that have been created for your app. So I want it to specifically just do authentication. We're gonna talk about tables later, which this is the table editor. We'll get into this in just a minute. So first, I'm gonna have it do this and go ahead and kind of see what it does from here. So we can go ahead and take a look at the code that it's made here. And this is something that's always good to do. Just kind of read through it and understand what it's doing as best as you can. So we can see it says, create a profiles table to store additional user information. So we have the email, the full name, the role, which it's already figured out based on our application, customer, or check the role if customer, dealer, or admin. So we're gonna have 3 roles in this: customer, dealer, or admin. Created at, updated at, and then enable row level security. This is what's known as an RLS policy. Row level security basically checks to see if a user is a customer or a dealer or an admin. Depending on what that user's status is or what their role is when they log into their account, depends on what data they can access. Without RLS or without row level security, anybody with any type of role would be able to log in and see all the information, probably information that they shouldn't see in the first place. So information that an admin should only see, only a user with the admin role should be able to see admin information. Same goes for customer. If a customer logs in, they should only see their customer information, not admin information, right? So that's what an RLS does, in short. So users can view their own profile, users can update their own profile, users can insert their own profile data, and then this is creating a function to handle new user registration. So whenever people make an account or they sign in, it should automatically create that account for them. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on apply changes and let that get to work. How do you guys like this angle? This is a pretty interesting angle. I just got this 10mm lens. It's super wide. I kind of like it. It's kind of nice, honestly. I don't have to like keep myself in frame. It feels very easy to be able to move around. I don't have to worry about it. Also, Lovable hackathon check up in the corner. Pretty sweet. So Lovable has gone ahead and let us know what it's implemented. We have user sign up and login with email and password, authentication context, protected admin dashboard. Okay, so apparently it's already made the protected admin dashboard, which is awesome. Automatic profile creation when user signups, navigation updates showing user status and sign out options, role-based access controls, customers, dealers, and admins, proper error handling and user feedback with toast notifications. Toast notifications, these are like little pop-out notifications you'll see here in just a second. You can also see down here, Lovable gives us this important note. It says you may want to disable confirm email in your Supabase auth settings to speed up testing. What this means is that when somebody makes a new account, Supabase automatically, with your new project being created, churns on confirm email, which whatever email you put in, it sends the user an email to their inbox where they have to click a URL or implement a code so that they can confirm their email is real. We don't want to do this. We're just testing right now. You can re-enable this in the future, but I'm going to show you how to turn that off real quick. So we're going to pop back over to authentication in Supabase here. And again, if we go from project overview, we go down to authentication. And then from here, we're going to go down to sign in providers. And then we can scroll down and we can see that email is enabled. We can click this, and then we're just going to turn off confirm email. And now we're good to go. Okay. Okay, let's go look at tables because I do believe it did make a table. It did. So again, if I go from authentication and I go up to table editor, now I can see this new table profiles has been added. And now we can go ahead and look at what information is being stored inside of this table. This is important, okay? So the ID, this ID is going to be attached with the authentication. See this UID? This is a random generated number between every single user that connects the user to a profile, okay? So we'll go back to table editor. We can see the ID, their email, their full name, their role, created at, and updated at, okay? Now this role being text is a bit iffy in my opinion. Usually you can use a Boolean so that you only have 3 different roles, but I'm not gonna get into that too much right now. This should be totally fine to work with. Okay, so let's go back to our project. And we can also see it's updated our login here. So we can see login and sign up has been added. Before we only had login. Let's test the sign up. So I'm gonna put my full name in here. I'm gonna put my email and I'm just gonna put a password. Okay, and we'll go ahead and create account and see what it does. Okay, so it says account created, please check your email to verify the account, which we have turned off. If I refresh our Supabase, which actually I didn't need to refresh that, it already added it. We can check our authentication, okay? And we can see that the unique ID has been put in here. Our display name is Skylar Talley, email, no phone number, provider is email, created at right now. And then if we check the table editor, we can see that the profile has been added. So email, full name, and role. Cool. So if I go to login, now it's never, I'm gonna go back to login, I'm gonna test it. So I'm gonna put in my email, put in my password, and sign in, and apparently I did that wrong. All right, let me sign in, and it says login failed, invalid login credentials. Just to double check, I'm just gonna refresh the page and make sure that there's not any issues on that end. So let me refresh this real quick. All right, let's try again. Email, password, and it says login failed. Now what I'm gonna double check, because I did this kind of quick, I'm gonna make another account. I'm gonna make another account real quick. Make sure I put the password in correct. It's just a quick password. Email, email invalid. Yeah, okay. All right, make another one. Create account. Okay, account created, lovely. Now let's go check our database. There we go, okay. The email has been added, and I'm gonna go back to login. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and input the email and the password, and it says login failed. Okay, that should have saved. Let me double check the authentication. Sign in providers, email. Okay, you know what? I missed a step. Totally my bad. Confirm email, turn it off, and then in the bottom right, there's a little save button. Click save. It's the little things, man. It really is. Okay, click on save. Now that has been saved. So now if I go back, I'm gonna try one more account. Okay, it created the account. Okay, so the error that I made there was that I didn't save churning email verification off. I didn't save it. So the two accounts that I created with that still turned on, still was checking to make sure that I verified my email. So I went ahead and made another random account with email verification turned off and saved, and then it worked perfectly fine. All right, so it says that it's logged us in. It says welcome, test, test. Cool. And then there's a little sign out button up here, and then we can go ahead and still log in. Let's double check it, test, and then the password. This is just a little stuff you gotta go through when you do this. And this is why I say, figure out your user authentication out of the gate, because it can get tricky sometimes. So I'm glad that this is kind of happening right now, so I can walk you guys through how I would actually debug this and figure out what is happening. Okay, so we saw that when we made the new account, it logged us in no problem. But now trying to log back in after we've logged out of that account, we're having issues logging back into it. So I'm gonna just double check here. Sky at Gmail. We can see that it's failing to log in. So if I go ahead and launch this into another preview, I can right click and then click on inspect and go to console. Okay, so now let's go ahead and try and log in. And then we can see that there's an issue here where we see this error pop up when we try and log in. Now I'm very confident right now that the email and the password that I am putting in is correct, okay? So I know there's some kind of issue going on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and highlight this right here and copy that error, go back to Lovable, and kind of tell it what's going on. Okay, so what I've told Lovable is I created an account and it logged me in without any issues, but when logging out and attempting to re-log in with the same account, there is this issue not allowing me to log in. And then I've basically just put in quotations the exact error that came from the console and pasted that in there, and we'll go ahead and refresh that. So I can see that it says that there's a misfit on the password, but I'm very confident that that password that I just put in is correct. I could totally be wrong, to be quite honest. I could be wrong. I'm gonna do this one last time. One more time here. Okay, so it says Lovable has said, look at the auth logs and network requests. I can see the issue. You're getting invalid login credentials, errors when trying to log in, even though the account was created successfully. Common issue, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So I'm just gonna try this one more time, just to double check that I am putting in the right password, which I'm very confident in that, but it's always good to double check because you never know. Skylar test at Gmail. Okay, so there has to be some kind of issue going on with the authentication. So like I said, I'm glad this is happening. As much as it makes the video longer right now and it's probably boring you to death, this is genuinely the errors that you're gonna run into when it comes down to this. Again, this is why I implement user authentication first, before any kind of database design. I do this first, okay? Because there are errors that happen with doing this. Okay, so let's wait for these to be saved. Okay, so auth state cleanup, clear Supabase auth tokens, robust login. So let's try this other account that we've just created, and let's go ahead and sign in. Okay, and that worked fine. So the changes that it's made, it now works. All I'm gonna tell it is I'm gonna sign out, and when I go to the login, I'm gonna have it go ahead and just remove this button. It probably thought that that was a good idea, but let's remove it. Let's remove the clear auth data button from the login screen. Okay, cool. So now it's removed the button. We just don't want that there for a user-facing side. It looks tacky. We don't want that. So I'm gonna try and re-log in again and make sure that we're all good and clear. So we'll go ahead and sign in, and it looks good to go. Okay, so we have this figured out. All right, so now let's get into our database design, which is the meat of this actual video. Okay, so when it comes to actually designing our database, a really cool tool that I like to use is called chartdb.io, and it allows you to visually build your database and figure out what tables are connected to what other tables. So this is a previous project that I was building, but I'm gonna go ahead and make a new project, and I'm gonna kind of speed run through making it, and I'll give you a breakdown on my thought process throughout it. Okay, so I've gone through and pretty much figured out how this database is going to be laid out. I'm going to walk you through my thought process on how I built this database and why I built it this way, and kind of how this is going to work. Authorization users, this is whenever somebody makes an account, it goes into the auth users. I'm just going to show you guys one more time. So inside of Supabase, we go to authentication. These are the auth users. When they create their account, this is where it stores their password, their email. This is their account at the base level, okay? And then we have tables. Tables are different tables or rows of data that store certain kinds of data. So if we go back to our chart here, we can then see profiles, right? We have the ID, which is tied to the user or the unique ID. And then we have their email, full name, and role. Same as here. This is the table, profiles, ID, email, full name, role, and then we have created at and updated at. But this is the main data that we need to store, and we just need to figure out what columns of data we need to store. So from profiles, I thought it would be a cool idea if users that have their own profile could save cars. So if they could save different cars, those would be tied to their profile, and they can maybe come back and log into their account and see if there's been price changes, or maybe some other details have been added, if it's sold or still available. And then we have down here cars, which is tied in with car features and car specifications. Cars is the first table that we need to add in, which is going to have the ID, a title, description, price, mileage, images, status, created at, and updated at. So this table should contain the data, if we look at our project, such as the title, which is the name of the car, the price, the mileage, and then also the description. And then next we have the features. So this table, to store this kind of information, is going to be stored in this table right here, car features. Car features ID is tied in with the car's ID. This is so that we can associate features to a specific car. So when the app loads up, first it's going to load the car, and then it's going to go load features that are tied to that specific vehicle's ID. So now we have car features and car specifications tied to the vehicle, the car. This is just a really easy way to be able to separate your tables apart, so it's way easier to manage in the future, versus if we just had this one table, cars, and we just put car features and car specifications into this singular column of cars, we're gonna have this long list. It's gonna be quite a pain to be able to manage in the future. And if we go back, we can then look at specifications. So we have engine, transmission, drivetrain, fuel economy, exterior color, interior color, VIN, and stock number. Again, that is gonna be saved under car specifications. So we have engine, transmission, drivetrain, fuel economy, all that fun stuff right here. And as for the saved cars, if a user saves a car, then it needs to reference what car. Same thing would happen. It loads the car that they saved, and then it pulls the car features and the car specifications. So hopefully this is making sense a bit here. You just need to figure out inside of your app what data needs to be stored and what could be a singular column or a singular table, what could be one table, or if something is large and there's a lot of different details that need to get saved, you should split that apart into different tables so it's much easier to manage in the future. So now that we have this set up, the first thing I need to do is make this cars table here. So I'm literally just going to go in and screenshot this and tell it to go make this table. And I'm going to go back to Lovable. I'm going to grab that screenshot and we're going to tell it. So now I'm going to tell Lovable, analyze the image of the car table provided, create a separate non-associated table in Supabase named cars, and create the necessary columns to store car information. Follow the image columns. Do not create extra columns. So what it could do possibly when you're doing this is that you can give it an image and say, hey, just follow the image exactly. But because Lovable in this project, it already understands what our project contains and what it's doing, it might create extra tables that it just thinks that you probably need to be able to store the correct information. But I want to follow the diagram that I've built because I want to be able to have control over how this data is stored. So I'm gonna let this go ahead and do its thing, and we'll kind of see if it does it correctly or incorrectly, and we can kind of critique it from there. Okay, so we can take a look at the code it's created. So create cars table with exact structure. So create table, public cars, ID, title, description, price, mileage, images, created at, updated at. And then we have the RLS policy. So this is going to be the security of who can view it. So create a policy to allow everyone to view cars, public access, correct. Create policy to allow authenticated users to insert cars. Authenticated users can create cars. Create policy to allow authenticated users to update cars and users to be able to delete cars. Now, this is incorrect. We only want the public to be able to view cars. We don't want them to be able to actually create cars, update cars, or delete cars. We only want them to be able to view them. So what I've said here is I only want public website viewers to view cars and not be able to update them or make changes to them. Auth users with the role customer cannot make changes to cars or add cars. User roles admin should be the only users to have access to view, create, modify, or add cars. So wait for that to spin up a new RLS policy. Create new restricted policies for cars table. Allow everyone, including anonymous users, to view cars, correct. Only admin users can insert cars. So create policy, only admins can create cars, and only admin users can delete cars, okay? That looks correct. I can see that it's making the RLS policy, but it hasn't created the table. It said this looks correct, but we need to add in the new table as well to be created, because I can see this is all RLS policies, but if we look at this previous one, we can see the create cars table with exact structure shown in image. This got missed from the changes that we made to the RLS policy. So I don't want to apply the changes just yet. I want it to give me the entire RLS policy plus the create cars table. So here we go. Create cars table with exact structure. Boom, boom, boom. That looks good. And we have the RLS policy so that we can do this all in one shot and we're good to go. Admin users update cars, admin users delete cars, admin users insert cars, restricted policy, allow everyone to view cars. This all looks correct. Let's go ahead and apply the changes. Now, RLS policies can get very tricky the more that you do this, or the more complicated that your user authentication structure is. So if you have multiple user types, it can get very tricky to manage the RLS policies. So you have to definitely take some time to sit down and figure out what type of users can view what kind of data. And you don't want to make any major changes to that structure later down into the, the end stages of your app. You want to figure this stuff out now, or else you're going to have so many issues. I promise. It is a pain to figure this out later. I will say, with Claude Opus 4, it has done a lot better with coding. It is seriously, it's a major upgrade from 3.7 Sonnet. It does a way better job than Sonnet did. So that's definitely an upgrade, at least to say the least. So you should have a lot less issues. Okay, so it says, perfect. The SQL migration has been successfully executed. Looks good. Key changes, real database integration, replace mock data with actual Supabase queries. CRUD operations, added delete functionality for cars, dynamic stats, search functionality, error handling, security. So it actually knocked out quite a bit all in one shot, which is pretty impressive. So I asked it, how do I enable a user to be an admin user so we can work on a dashboard where an admin can view inventory cars and add or delete or make changes to them? So, yep. All right. Okay, so the reason I asked this is because right now my current profile that I'm logged in as is just a basic customer normal user, which means that in order for us to actually work on being able to add cars into our database and be able to make them so that they're front-facing customer view, we need to figure out first how we can create a profile that is an admin so that when we're logged into our app as an admin, we can begin working on the dashboard so that we can go ahead and actually build something to where we can add inventory and make changes to it. It says that we can go into Supabase and we can just find the profiles table, locate the user to make an admin, edit their row, and change the role column to customer, from customer to admin. So what that means is all I'm gonna do is go into our Supabase and we're gonna go to the profiles table and I can see the account that I am logged in as right here. Let's double check the account. So I'm logged into Skylar Test. And let's go to the database. We can see that this is the customer right here, or this is the profile right here, skylar@gmail.com, Skylar Test. And the role is currently customer. So if I change this to admin, hit enter, make sure that that saves, and we come back and we refresh this, we should be able to access the admin dashboard. Okay, so now that I've made that change, I now see this dashboard button that's been added because now it has checked my role and it can see that I am an admin, so I can view the dashboard. Now to double check this, I'm gonna make sure that if I go back and I change this again to customer and I go back, instantly I can see that that dashboard button is removed, which means that this is working properly. So one more time, let's go back and change this to admin, enter, and we go back, and now I can see the dashboard button is back, okay? So I'm gonna click on dashboard, and here we go. This is gonna be the admin dashboard where we can add and manage inventory. Before I go ahead and try and add a vehicle, we now need to create the other tables, which is car specifications and car features. So again, all I'm gonna do is take a screenshot of this. Actually, I'm gonna delete this one. And let's do a screenshot of this entire thing right here so that I can see what the association is. Okay. So let's go into here. Okay, so what I've told it here is, great, I now have access to the admin dashboard. Analyze the image provided to view the new tables we need to create, which are car specifications and car features. Check the columns that need to be added and create the new tables and columns accordingly. These two tables should be connected by ID to the cars table ID so that the features and specification tables are connected to a specific car. So this is so that we can get that direct association just like this. As we mentioned, car features and car specifications get tied to the cars database table right here so that we don't have all of this inside of one table, which gets extremely messy. So we'll let that go ahead and do its thing and analyze the image. Create car specifications table, boom, 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 that's looking good. And then we have the RLS policies for both things. Allow everyone to view car specifications, yes. Allow only admin users can insert, yes. Only admin users can update car specifications, yes. Only admin users can delete car specifications, yes. This is for the car features table. Allow everyone to view car features, only admin user can insert, only admin users can update, only admin users can delete. So I'll go ahead and let it do its thing. All right, we have an update here. It says it's added all the data into it, dynamic content, better error handling, flexible display. Cool. All right, so let's let this reload here and see what we get. We have an error, build unsuccessful. Cool, no worries. Let's go ahead and see what that error is. No, it doesn't exist, doesn't exist. I'm just gonna go ahead and hit try to fix and see if it can't fix that issue for us. In the meantime, while it fixes that, let's go check our database and make sure that everything is being added correctly. And we can see that this just got updated. So here's our profiles table, here's our cars table, title, description, price, mileage, images, status, and car specifications. We have the, what is this one? Car ID, engine, transmission, drivetrain, fuel economy. It looks like it's added all these in here correctly. Car features, and we have this right here. Car ID, and then feature name. Cool. Okay. Kind of curious in the meantime while it fixes that. If we click on add vehicle, what do we get? So we're gonna have to change this whole thing. Okay, so it says it's fixed that issue. Now the next thing we need to do is, one, we definitely need to change this add new vehicle layout. I don't like that it's a pop-up. We should make this into a totally separate page so it's way easier for people to understand what details they're adding and how to manage it. Before we do that as well, we need to be able to add images like this, right? So that when people click on these cards, it's actually gonna be able to display images that the dealership has added. And in order to do that, we need to create something called a storage bucket. And a storage bucket inside of Supabase is where images and the actual images themselves gets put into the storage bucket. So I said before moving forward, we need to create an image storage bucket for car images so that the admin, when adding a car, can add multiple car images as a carousel for a user to scroll through to view the car. So I'm gonna have it do that. And if we go into Supabase here, I believe it is under storage. We can then see buckets, all buckets. We can see that there's no buckets available, so it hasn't done this yet. So we need to make a storage bucket so that when we add a image, that image is being added to our table under cars, under images right here. When an image is added, it's gonna get saved into the storage, and then Supabase will make an image URL, which that URL should then be added to the images column right here. So here we go. I'll help you create an image storage bucket for car images so admins can upload multiple images when adding vehicles. Let me set up the storage bucket with necessary tables. So create storage bucket for car images. It's going to create a car images bucket. And then here are the RLS policies. So allow the public to read access and admin write access. Allow authenticated admins to insert car images. Allow authenticated admins to update car images. And allow authenticated admins to delete car images. Cool. Looks good. We'll apply those changes. So if we go over here and we go to storage, we can now see that car images is added and it is already set as public, which is awesome. If your storage bucket is not set as public, which sometimes happens, you can twirl down this arrow and then click on edit bucket and then enable public bucket right here. So if you want anyone to be able to view them, anyone publicly to view those images, you need to set that storage bucket as public so that anybody can view them, right? Makes sense? Perfect. So it's added all this, it's saving the changes. So we should see this probably update. Boom, there we go. Click to upload vehicle images. Awesome. Now, like I said, our next step here is to fix this because this looks terrible. And I don't believe this is actually connected properly to the database. So to rebuild this, I've basically just told it, let's build the add new vehicle page, which is this pop-up, from a pop-up into a separate new page for the admin to add in new car data and images into a well-organized and sectioned page with a clean interface to work with and a side preview of the car's listing as details get added. I put this here because I thought it would kind of be nice for people to be able to add in the details and then also see what the live listing is kind of going to look like as like a mock listing. Ensure the data is correctly connected with Supabase tables so that when the car is saved, the data is correctly saved as well, which is vital. We don't want an admin to just add all these details, and even after we've done all the work with Supabase, you add all the details in, add your images, click on save, and none of the details actually get saved into the database, right? Kind of a major problem. So we're gonna make sure that we tell Lovable, again, make sure this data is properly associated and connected with our database. All right, it looks like it's modified 5 different files to be able to create this. And we have a new dedicated page under the route of admin, add vehicle. Okay, and key features, organized sections, live preview, image carousel, proper navigation, form validation, and components created, image upload section, vehicle preview. Okay, so it looks like it's done everything that we pretty much asked it to do, and we'll wait for these changes to be saved before we preview it. Cool, and now we can go ahead and click on add new vehicle, and this is looking way better. Okay, so here's the route admin add vehicle, and we can see a back to dashboard, which is routed correctly. So let's go back to add vehicle. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna check here is that the vehicle images is actually working correctly. So I'm gonna go and search up a Porsche GT3 RS, put that in my downloads, and we'll also do this image right here. And we will save image as, save it to downloads, cool. I just want to be able to do 2 images so I can make sure the carousel is working. So now we can click to upload and we can add in our first image. That file type might not be, actually that was an AVIF file type too, which I'm surprised that worked. Okay, and we can add our second image. There we go. And it looks like the carousel has worked. Yep, there we go. That first image was actually really bad. So I can delete that image and let me actually open it up properly. Let's do this image right here. Cool, save image as. And we'll just save that to downloads, go back over here, upload image, and we'll upload this one right here. Okay, and check that out. Boom, there we go. Okay, so now we have our images set up and we can type in some basic information. Okay, so I'm just filling this with random stuff. Before I save this, we have our car images and we have our table. I'm gonna go to cars, make sure nothing's here. And if I click on save vehicle, let's make sure it works. Okay, vehicle added successfully. Let's go over here and make sure that vehicle was actually added to our database. It doesn't look like we have anything in the database yet. Here it is. All right, ID, title, description. The images, you can see that it has added our 2 image URLs right here, which is perfect. Let's go to our storage, car images, and here we go. We can see the images right here. They have been successfully saved into our storage, and that looks like that's good to go. All right, and then we can also go in and edit them. Maybe, can we not? Okay, it doesn't look like we can edit them yet, so I'm just gonna tell it, it looks like we have build unsuccessful. Drivetrain string empty, transmission. Okay, let's try to fix that real quick. So we have new feature section component, updated add vehicle page, enhanced vehicle preview, start icon and feature icon, compact badges, organized layout. Okay, cool. So let's go back to our dashboard. Let's add a new vehicle and see where it's added vehicle. Okay, here we go. So we have a few quick add common features, which is kind of sweet. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Look at that. That's nice. It has a whole bunch of random ones that you can just kind of add in there. All right, cool. And now I'm just gonna go back because we need to fix the edit page so that I can just go ahead and add those features to this Porsche that we've added. I say, can you fix the edit so that an admin can edit an existing vehicle? So hopefully we should be able to then click this button and we'll actually be able to just go ahead and edit a vehicle's information directly from there. All right, so it looks like it's made those changes for us. But we have an error. Let's see what the error is. String not assignable, not assignable. Okay, so let's hit try fix. It says it's fixed the issue. Now let's go ahead and double check. Let's go click on edit so we can edit this vehicle. It loads everything correctly. Air conditioning, I'm just gonna select a bunch of these real quick. And those have all been added. Air conditioning, Bluetooth, backup camera, leather seats, boom, boom, boom. And let's click on update vehicle. And it doesn't look like update vehicle button works. So I just let it know the update vehicle button does not work. It should save the updated information correctly, right? Because when we click this, I don't see anything happening. Okay, it says it's made those changes. And after reading it a bit, it says that the issue was actually that body type needed to be selected, which I figured it was selected previously, but it looks like it caught some kind of issue with that. So let's go back again and edit vehicle. And let's go ahead and add these in again and make sure it saves correctly. And now we can click update vehicle. It says it's updating and vehicle updated successfully. Okay, let's go check the database to make sure that information did get added, and it did. So the ID here, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the car ID it's associated with is car 1, which if we go to cars, we can see the ID of this car is 1. So that worked correctly. The only last thing we need to do is actually grab that data from our database and now show it in the vehicle inventory. So now I've told it, now we need to update the home page and the inventory page to fetch the real data from our database to remove the demo vehicles added and show the real actual cars that are available from the database. So I want it to remove these featured vehicles. I want it to remove all of this from the inventory, which it looks like there's 8 vehicles that were just kind of automatically added in there. And it should now only fetch that Porsche that we added, because that is realistically the only vehicle that we have added into the database. So that is what viewers or customers should be able to see, not this demo information. Okay, so those changes now should have been made. The page is currently refreshing and we'll see if it did it correctly. So featured vehicles component, inventory page, data processing, parse JSON image arrays safely, extract vehicle information. And let's see, it's trying to reload here, but it doesn't seem like it's loading correctly yet. Okay, it says error build unsuccessful. We'll try to fix it real quick. There's a value prop. All right, so it had some kind of issue going on here. So we'll let that try and fix itself and see what we get. Let's see if we can go to the home page and see if it loads correctly or if that also has some kind of issue. Okay, so if we go to the home page while it fixes this error, we can see that featured vehicles is listed right here, and this is the vehicle that we've just added. So if I click on it, we can now see that this is the live real data. Click on features here, and we can see all the features have been added correctly. Specifications, this is all correct. And that is it. Mileage, 14 miles, $219,000 available. Cool. And we can see the different images right here as an infinite carousel. It's saving those changes, and we can go ahead and try and see if that has actually been fixed. So if we go to inventory, we can now see that this is correct. The inventory is now loading correctly. And let's go back home, and it looks like we have another error here. We'll hit try to fix and see what this one is. Okay, it looks like it's gone ahead and fixed that issue for us. So if we click on the home, we can still see that our featured vehicle is here, and the inventory still looks correct, and we don't have any build errors. So that means we now successfully have user authentication, login, sign up, role-based login, and access. And we also can now add vehicles as an admin. We can edit them, and from the front-facing view, we can see those vehicles. Just to double check that, we can sign out. And just as any random person who is not logged in, does not have an account, they should still be able to see that vehicle, which they can, and we can see that we are not logged in, and we do not see the dashboard button up here. The last thing I want to show you guys is if you do go to Supabase, you can still see this layout similar to what I built here in ChartDB, right? We have our auth users, our profiles, cars, car features, car specifications. Okay, and if I go back to Supabase here, and if you go from your home tab and you scroll down to database, you can then see your visualization of your database, table associations. The only thing we haven't done here is done the save cars, but with the time limit, currently we are over 2 hours in recording. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I will see you legends in the next video.